I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's February 10th, 2026 Board of Ed meeting. The time now is 6:30. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters.
Do I have a second? Mr. Poncello, all in favor?
All in favor?
So-
Motion passed. Executive session, 6:31.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Board of Ed meeting, February 10th. The time now is 7:30. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Turn over to Mrs. Muscarello for superintendent's comments.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay? All right, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out on this cold night and for your continued support of our students, our staff, our schools. We're incredibly proud of the many things going on in the Plainview district right now, and are grateful to share these moments with our community. And I see so many teachers here too, so share what you're doing with you, and that will be good for you to see. First, congratulations to Plain Edge High School junior Joanna Nicholas, who earned the ninth annual New York Institute of Technology Mini Research Grant Award. Joanna was awarded $300 for her project, which was Generational Cohort in AI Literacy as Predictors of Nurses' Intent to Integrate AI in the Hospital Setting. Now, everybody repeat that. Okay. It sounds like quite the research. Her research was recognized by NYIT for its scientific merit and its potential impact in STEM and health. Joanna plans to continue her work and represent Plain Edge in prestigious competitions next year, including the Generon Science Talent Search and the International Science and Engineering Fair. So good for her. We also celebrate Plain Edge High School sophomore Ashley Chen, who earned second place in the live figure drawing contest at the Huntington School of Fine Art. Ashley received a $1,500 award to support future coursework at the studio. We commend her for her artistic talent, dedication, and achievement. We recently recognized 13 members of the class of 2026 who achieved grade point averages of 100 or higher at our annual Summa Cum Laude breakfast. And during that event, we also announced this year's top academic honors. So I'm going to tell you who are the people who are cum laude. It was Caitlin Bonet, Joelle Dioka, Haley Eng, Kyla Borowski, Evan Cass, Erin Ledwig, Francesco Martinez, Leah Muldoon, Rory Parashar, Ariana Peterson, Andrew Picardi, and Anthony Pravada. And drum roll, the class of 2026 valedictorian is Leah Muldoon. Valedictorian is Chloe Hahn. I don't know. It's exciting. Anyway, the Long Island Science and Engineering Fair was also held, and congratulations to the following Plain Edge High School students who submitted their independent research to the regional and state level divisions of Regeneron's International Science and Engineering Fair. These students invested dozens of hours beyond the school day, recruited mentors, and composed a 20 to 30 page research paper on a wide variety of STEM topics. These students will be competing against the best student researchers in New York State for a chance to represent Plain Edge at the International Fair in Phoenix, Arizona. Congratulations go out to Daniel Blake, Gianna Diaz, Eliana DiPaolo, Chloe Hong, Daniel Lee, Francesco Martinez, Leah Nicolosi, Rory Parashar, and John Ritchie, and Sonia Snyder, and top. Congratulations to them. And let's see what else we have. We're extremely proud of our Plain Edge varsity cheerleading team, which recently competed at the National High School Cheerleading Championship in Orlando, Florida. Not too bad. Their dedication, teamwork, and perseverance were evident as they represented Plain Edge with pride on the national stage. And to other things, our 3 elementary buildings, in each one of those buildings, our students participated in the Book of the Month Club and the World Read Aloud. The Book of the Month was The Boy Who Made a Million Mistakes, which is pretty much a book on a mindset book that teaches children to keep trying because every mistake is a step towards success. That's okay to make mistakes, to learn from your mistakes and to bounce back, to develop mental toughness and resilience, to practice mindful affirmations, and to never give up on your goals. I think that's actually good for everybody, but I'm going to try to live with those myself. They also had global world Global World Day of Play, where students brought in board games and card games and anything that didn't involve a screen or technology. So that they enjoyed that. Speaking of the school, the elementary buildings, I had the opportunity to attend Broadway West production of Dare to Dream Junior, and to say that it was truly amazing would be an understatement. The collaboration and commitment among the students in that they were 3rd through 5th grade. They sang, they danced, they moved the audience to thunderous applause and some tears, and that was from me, the tears. And even some of the kids on stage were actually crying. So the songs were just so touching, you know. The Walt Disney quotes that were displayed were very thought-provoking and very grounding as well. For example, laughter is timeless. Imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. And the other one was, if you can visualize it, if you can dream it, then there's some way to do it. And honestly, I think if we all allow ourselves and our students to adopt this mindset, imagine the possibilities. So we're going to show you now how that looked when they were performing and when we had our World Read Aloud Day. I mean, you couldn't capture everything there. They were just amazing. Actually, one of the songs was so touching that one of the girls on the stage, at first she just was like doing a little bit like touching her face, like she's itching. But it turned out that within the next 5 minutes, it was full blown like crying. And so was everybody else. And these children, don't forget, they know, these were all Disney songs, so they know them so well. And they probably performed them to their parents and grandparents at any time. So it was wonderful, it really was. Just another couple of things. We have some really entertaining presenters tonight, but I want to go ahead and look ahead at what's happening. Kindergarten registration, if you have a child, there must be 5 before December 1st to register. Adult continuing education registration is open for the spring. Additional information available on the website, and I also put some brochures back there. A nice little glossy. You can take pickleball, advanced pickleball. I don't want to play the pick, strength, and stretch, live pickleball, and cricket as well. Some really good offerings. So it'll come to you, but it'll also be on the website. The Best Buddies have been actively rehearsing for their upcoming fashion show, which will take place on Thursday, this Thursday on February 12th at 6 at Plainridge High School Auditorium. Ticket information is available on the district website. I've not been there, but I've heard that it's just fabulous, and I'm looking forward to it myself, so can't wait to see that. The district will also participate in a PS I Love You Day on Friday, this Friday, February 13th. That is right, Friday the 13th. We're doing that. And students and staff are encouraged to wear purple to promote mental health awareness. This year's theme, Be the Light, highlights the importance of connection, compassion, and supporting one another. Thank you to our special ed department for coordinating this meaningful initiative across the district. And I happen to be in Bridget Murphy's office this week, and she said everything says purple in there. You name a sticker, she has it. It's going somewhere, you're getting a sticker. And so everything is purple. Anyway, finally, recess for winter recess begins next week. Schools will be closed February 16th to February 20th, and we'll reopen on Monday the 23rd. Now, keeping that thought in mind about how if you think it and dream it, somehow you can do it, I'm going to turn this mic over to Mr. Peraza, who's going to talk about the Creating a Capital Reserve.
Thank you. So this is just really a little bit of planning for the future and asking permission to create this reserve. The district currently has two reserves. We refer to them as Capital Reserve 3 and Capital Reserve 4. Capital Reserve 3 had a funding cap of $15 million, 15-year reserve, and a funding maximum each year of $2.5 million. Currently, there's a balance of $2,182,000 available to do projects out of that reserve. That's already been funded into that reserve, and we can fund an additional $1.9 million into that reserve this year and in future years. Second capital reserve we refer to as Capital Reserve 4. That had a $25 million cap and funding not to exceed $5 million each year. There's a balance of $3.8 million in that reserve available for the projects, and we have an additional $2.5 million of funding that we can put into this reserve. So we're proposing that we create a new capital reserve, Capital Reserve 5, that would upgrade our existing facilities in accordance with capital improvements committee recommendations to the community and with the board approval, of course. We're proposing to create a 15-year capital reserve, limit not to exceed $2.25 million and a funding maximum of $5 million each year if it's available. No, obviously only if it's available. It also gives us a chance to, importantly, look at our other reserves. You can transfer out of reserves that you feel are overfunded, and you can move them into a capital reserve when we create this reserve. So that would certainly be a component. We would look at all of our existing reserves like ERS, unemployment, workers' comp reserves to see if we feel they're overfunded and put them into this new capital reserve and be available to projects around the district.
Have any questions? Does anyone have any questions?
No, we're going to revisit this as we get closer to.
We would bring
Be adopted by the
a
board?
resolution to the board at the next meeting, and this has to go in the paper in March.
Right, I was going to ask, this has to be
Yeah.
voted on.
Yep. So we'll move forward, consensus to move forward?
Yeah.
Look, just because you have the funds doesn't mean you have to, not obligated to do anything. So set up the funds,
It's
so
just a
we have
slot.
the legal authorization to move the money as needed, and we'll do what makes sense.
Right, and obviously it has to be voted on by the community to pull money out once it goes in there, so it's not an automatic.
Seems pretty simple. Just out of curiosity, seeing how it matched Capital Reserve 4 with the 25 million, 15
Right.
year, what are the standards around that? Would it make
Well,
sense?
we're gonna, these other two reserves are gonna wind down in the next
No,
year or two, so.
I understand that. Are we limiting ourselves, looking at the future? Are we limiting ourselves but not saying, and again, I could be completely off base with this, but saying, can we raise the cap?
Sure.
And raise the term? But your recommendation
I don't
is-
think you need to raise the term or the amount funded annually. I think if you want to raise it up from 25 million to a higher number, we can certainly do that.
I'm asking the question, your recommendation is this. I'm not suggesting we do that, I'm just
You see a
asking,
need for it,
do
yeah.
you see a need for it at some point so that we don't
I mean, I
have
would
this
feel comfortable with
conversation?
35 if the board would agree with that.
Again, just looking in the future, having to revisit this, again, obviously reserves 1 and 2 have already been
Right.
phased out, we're now on
Well,
5.
I mean, if I have to spend $8 million creating a new bus facility back there, we may wind up doing this a little quicker the next time. But, there's no amount of times you can do this. Like, you can't just say like, I did it last year, I can't do it again 3 years from now. So I wouldn't,
So we could next year or 2 years from now, make a reserve 6,
correct.
take the money from 5 and move it into 6.
No, you wouldn't do that.
Or you would just leave it there, but you have
And you'll have the
Right.
Take
additional
some from
reserve.
I'm comfortable with 25.
If you're comfortable with it, it's fine.
We can always do it again.
Yeah.
Not like doing something twice.
All right, we'll bring that back at the next meeting then.
Great, thank you. Moving on to section 3, student representative comments. Ms. Muldoon.
Alright, for an update on junior prom from last board meeting, Before buying tickets, each junior had to sign a prom promise, which is basically just a contract that highlights school standards. It serves as a reminder that although not on school property, prom is still a school event and students should behave appropriately. On to the elementary schools. Shorting Elementary School has been very busy. The student council made cards for the 5th precinct to show their support to police officer Espinoza. Students also made Valentines for their Bristol buddies over at the Bristol Massacre Club. They also made Valentines for the local veterans, which will be mailed out. Their Night with Our Stars dance took place. Also, students had a fun evening with their friends and special persons. Lunch with the principal for 5th grade students has also kicked off, and this will run through May. World Read Aloud Day also took place in all 3 elementary schools. Students had the opportunity to visit their last year's classrooms for a read aloud. They all enjoyed a screen-free day of games and activities to celebrate Worldwide Day of Play as well. Their drama club has been working on the production of Willy Wonka Kids, which will be showcased on Friday, February 27th. The PTA also sponsored a game show for a day of learning and laughter. Their winter concerts were very successful. They got to experience the new music wing and welcome Mr. Siglio to his first performance as their chorus teacher. And lastly, for 5th grade students, they visited Commerce Plaza, where they simulated work experience, career exploration, and financial literacy. At Johnny's West Elementary School, their student council has been collecting canned goods for the Super Bowl pairing, where they all will be donated to local families in need. Broadway West just had their big show, as you saw on Friday, February 6th. Students in grade 3, 4, and 5 put on a production of Disney's Dare to Dream Tour. The students were incredible, along with their 2 directors, Miss Myers and Miss Sith. At East Plain, they are currently having a Super Bowl canned soup drive, also sponsored by the Student Council. They just finished Circus Week, where 5th grade students led an assembly for the school where they showed off their circus art skills. In March, they are showcasing their 4th and 5th grade band and orchestra to celebrate music in our school month, along with March Book Madness. Teachers have been busy reading all 16 books to their classes so students can vote on a winning book. The middle school has also had a lot of exciting things going on. The robotics team is competing for the Long Island Championship on March 1st. Only a couple middle schools participate, as this is a high school event. So a special thanks to Mr. Block and Mr. Page for leading the group to this competition. The Science Club, under the direction of Miss Bragg and assisted by Miss Kieran, also just competed in a prestigious science school at Brookhaven Labs. They won several rounds, which were highly competitive, and the Script to Screen Academy Awards took place. Screenwriters and filmmakers in Script to Screen classes showcased their films and were honored with awards. Now onto the high school. The Best Buddies and Rhythm and Movement classes have been hard at work preparing for the Best Buddies fashion show this Thursday. A small group went to each of the elementary schools and the middle school to put on a piece of the show. In advisory, the freshmen also attended a showcase for the fashion show. There was both an in-school and after-school rehearsal for everyone in the show to get ready and put on an exciting show for everyone. The other advisory classes prepared for PS I Love You Day, which is on February 13th. This year's theme is Be the Light. The lighthouse symbolizes a beacon in the dark, as well as a call to action to reach out, listen, and be present for those who feel lost. The main goal of this day is to destigmatize conversation about mental health. Seniors also voted on superlatives, which will be announced in advisory later this month. Additionally, for the seniors, the summa cum laude breakfast took place. 13 seniors who had above 100 weighted average were celebrated. Additionally, coin wars have begun, where the grades can earn points for battle of the classes. Points count as positive towards your team, and dollar bills can be subtracted from the other grades, and this all goes to battle of the classes and will be donated to a animal shelter. And then recently, Planet TV was one of 2 schools selected by Newsday TV to pilot their high school career education program based on Planet TV's merit and reputation. Students in Planet TV created a professional news package and submitted it to Newsday TV for review. Our students were then invited to Newsday TV studios, along with Hawthorne High School, to meet with real producers, editors, and anchors. They received feedback on their videos, participated in an engaging workshop, and toured a real TV studio. We are so grateful for the continued support to be able to provide authentic, career skill-based learning opportunities Giraffe Lineage TV. And then lastly, for the music department, January was full of the all-county festivals. Students from grade 5 through 12 represented Lineage. The elementary school concerts concluded, and now the focus is geared towards the district level concerts in early March.
Thank you. Moving on to routine approvals. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 20th, 2026 Board of Ed meeting? Mr. Garcia, second. Ms. Versace, all in favor? 7.
7, motion passed.
Do I have a motion to approve warrant reports 64 through 71 and 74 through 76? Mr. Morrissey, second.
Second.
Mr. Pascarello, all in favor?
7 in favor, motion passed.
Do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report December 2025? Mr. Morrissey, second. Mr. Garcia, all in favor?
All in favor, motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to discussions and presentations. Second draft of the 26-27 budget presentation. Your presentation? I'm sorry. Hold on, my apologies.
We're all getting a lesson on how we can
We do board
find the
docs.
documents in Board Docs.
Multiple different ways.
You want the PowerPoint? Or?
You learn it, change it.
Okay.
We're fine.
Right. We're learning diligence.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah,
Clicker gonna work? No, I'm not gonna be able to. Go to the first slide.
Okay. Okay, so we're just going to recap where we are in the calendar and the planning process. Welcome to February, second month of deep dive into our budget planning process. Tonight, you're going to hear from the Special Education Department, Performing and Fine Arts, and we're going to touch on where we are from last month to this month, taking into consideration after last month's presentations of transportation and the Board of Ed, changes that we've made, directives that we've gotten from you. And also, Peter and I have started the tax levy limit calculations, which are due when we come back from break. So you can move on to the next one. March is going to be a busy month. We have a lot of presentations coming up. Some of the categories you'll see: facilities, health, capital project planning, curriculum instruction, staffing, instructional technology, all of that. April brings our fund balance and reserve planning, as well as final presentation to the board, the additional meeting that we added on April 14th to have budget deliberations, and the property tax report card will be due by then. May rolls in, we have our public hearing, our notices go in the mail, and then we will have our public general annual vote.
It's going fast.
It is.
All right, so last year's adopted budget was close to $1.8 million. We rolled over our budget at $113,567,000. That was a $5.6 million increase year over year, or 5.16%. As Teresa mentioned, we made some reductions based on conversations with the Board of Education for the conventions. We also met with special education and transportation, and we reduced amounts in those budgets accordingly. We've managed, and Mr. Menino, we met with him before his presentation tonight, and we reduced his budget also by certain equipment purchases, which we're going to take out of monies that we have in this year's budget, so we were able to eliminate them in next year's budget. In total, we've eliminated $453,000 from the initial budget that we presented, so we're down to 4.74% year over year tax increase. Every 0.5% that we reduce this budget by equals $540,000, approximately $540,000. My goal is to continue to get this down, hoping to get it down to 3.5 to 3% year over year budget. That's my goal. And we'll continue working towards that goal. Okay.
When you say roll over, you're talking about basically taking what this year's level was and just adding whatever the increase.
A lot of assumptions in the budget, a lot of healthcare assumptions, a lot of ERS, TRS, staffing. Every position that was in last year's budgets, in this year's budget, we've added some positions
for different areas that are required.
So in a way, you'd roll over as worst case scenario.
Well, your salaries are pretty easy to roll over because you have contracts in place for most units. So there are schedules in our accounting system that tells us where everybody will be next year. So we know all that, but there's a lot of assumptions on healthcare and there's a lot of assumptions on ERS, TRS, Social Security. Those are areas that we're going to be looking at in the coming months to try to fine tune those. Question slide.
Sorry.
Any questions?
No, I mean, I think as usual, it's really up to April, right? Finding out where the state budget, if they're gonna actually be on time or not. So that'll really tell us a lot. I feel like at least the executive budget looked promising.
Yes.
Especially the increased funding to pre-K.
That would be a help. That would be a help.
2X, so that's,
Right.
those are great things, and makes it easier to provide services starting at a younger age.
There are some monies in the general fund, which is, fund that everybody votes on for the pre-K. I'm hoping that we can slide those over into the grant this year so we could have a reduction there also.
What grant?
The pre-K grant.
Okay.
Oh, the 10K, oh, you call that a grant? Okay.
Yeah, it's in the federal fund. It's in the grants fund. It's not accounted for in the ED fund.
Okay. Sounds
Thank
good,
you.
thanks. All right, next on the agenda is the special education budget presentation.
I was really worried there for a second. I thought maybe he was bumping us for fine arts. My name is Bridget Murphy. I'm the Director of Special Education.
I'm Nicole Duffy. I'm the Assistant Director of Special Education. The Office of Special Education has quite the number of responsibilities that we oversee. We show this every single year, but I think it's really important for everyone to notice that we take not just oversight of special education, the Committee on Special Ed, and the Committee on Preschool Special Education, but from soup to nuts, we do all of that. But we also have oversight of our award-winning mental health program through Northwell, which is still working really well for our community. We have oversight of the state reporting piece, which is a mandate for the district. Additionally, we do have our budget maintenance, which we're working on now with Mr. Perazzo in the business office. We complete all our stacks and Medicaid submissions, and it's important to note that those submissions get us money back into the district. So special ed is often known for spending all the money, but we also get some money back because of all the pieces that we have to put in place. Additionally, continuing on that same kind of trend, we do all the grant preparation and management with the federal funds and the state funds that come down to us. That allows us to provide some additional staffing support and some curriculum supporting that we kind of utilize in our grant writing. We offer all of our professional development for all of our wonderful teachers who are here tonight, and also a lot of our support staff. We have oversight of our districts of location, district of residency. We have Maria Regina within our catchment. So it's important to note that we have oversight of all CSE processes that take place over at Maria Regina. The nice part there is we also do billing. So if you're not a Plain Edge student, we get to bill back to those districts. So we get the money back. So just to keep that in mind as well. We run a wonderful full day extended school year program for 6 weeks in the summer. Year after year, we've been doing amazing things in keeping our students maintaining their progress and all the goals that they've made mastered throughout the year. We have really made a huge push on our transition planning for all of our students. We know it's really important they're ours through either graduation or through the age of almost 22, the day before their 22nd birthday. And it's really important to know and help these families understand what happens when they walk out of our doors. We want them to be as prepared and ready for the real world as possible. So we spend a lot of time working with OPWDD and Access VR and making some linkages to supports for when our students leave Plain Edge. And then finally, we have offered a multitude of parent engagement sessions, which I think are really helpful for our parents, especially our transition meetings, which are taking place right now. We had our CPSC to CSE transition meeting last week. We're doing middle school right after the break. And this allows our families who are transitioning from one building to the next to really understand where their children are going, what's available, and what supports are there, and also to put some faces to some names of people that they're going to be working with for the future.
We took over that because SEPTA had kind of faded away, and I don't know if you've all heard, but SEPTA is making a little bit of a comeback, so we are eagerly awaiting to see how they do. As far as we had our first meeting, they had a whole bunch of committees, they have a bunch of different things that they're supposed to be doing, but they seem to have some good following at this point. So we're hoping that in the future we can work with SEPTA on some of these parent engagement sessions. Oh, and just a quick aside, I know we were talking about state funding, but the federal government did come out and say that they are not planning on making any cuts to the IDEA grant, which for us is a huge thing. We get a grant that's approximately $800,000 a year, and we've been watching very closely to see if that was something that was going to be decreased or eliminated, and it sounds like they are moving ahead with not making any changes. They're not increasing it, but they're not decreasing it, which is a very good news for ourselves. This is our year-to-year perspective. This year we had an adopted and approved budget of $6,288,800. We are proposing an increase of about $384,000. That does not include the staffing, although, Peter, I think this is my old presentation.
I mean, it's the same, this accurate number, it's just not the verbiage that we have. It's fine.
Okay. I don't know what that does to my other slides.
Let's all find out.
Yeah, it's a surprise. We're going on an adventure. I love this for us.
Nobody's watching. It's fine.
I love a nice fun twist. It's all good. Don't worry.
I don't think there's any singers here.
Any questions?
I have a question, Peter. I've heard some horror stories from other districts.
From me.
It's probably only you to answer. Some
'We're pretty up to date on.
Oh, no.
We bill regularly, we bill on time.
It's here. It's this one.
There's
That one.
nothing.
We just need the right one up there, right?
'26 does not include about $10.5 million in budgeted salaries. And 26-27 does not include about $11.8 million in salaries. We will talk a little bit more about the salaries in upcoming slides. But those are all of our special education teachers, all of our clerical, our teaching assistants, our related service providers, and our aides. So we do have a very large department. And I have to say they are absolutely amazing and wonderful, and they show up all the time, not only for us, but also for all of our kids. So I think it is money well invested. I moved money around a bit this year to more accurately represent where we are spending some of that money, and it has a bit to do with some of the trends with some of our children. So you can see in PPS equipment, we have an increase, BOCES, we have an increase, we have a decrease in New York State approved schools, a very large increase in contractual, and in the next couple of slides, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about each one of these, but I just kind of wanted to give you quick overview, and then I'll go and dive into more detail. So the increase in contractual New York State public schools has a bit to do with Maria Regina. As Nicole mentioned, they are within our catchment, and when they are within our catchment, it means that we provide the special education services for all the students that attend there. And I anticipate that will go up a bit, especially with this student that requires an aid. But the other issue is that, as you can see, we have had an increase in the number of special education students at Maria Regina. I'm not too sure how many of you are familiar with the school, but there was recently, a few years ago, a change in the principal. Very small number of students that attend out-of-district placements, and we'll go over that in a couple of minutes as well. Typically, the only students we ever send out of district are students that have behavior issues. That we did also request an increase in our equipment, simply because we are opening classrooms, we're doing a lot. That means we're buying desks and tables and bookcases and all those other things. This year, our equipment fund funded a very nice improvement to our mental health suite in the high school, which was desperately overdue for an upgrade. It did not look very bright and cheery up there. It now does. It also funded some equipment for a child that had come into the district that has vision difficulties. The benefit of that is, while they are expensive, they usually last forever, but we do have to continue to expend money for different materials that students might need. We also increased our BOCES schools and services, and this has more to do with the fact that Northwell, who does our mental health currently, has asked us to move from a direct contract with them to the BOCES LOI. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the LOI, it's something called a letter of what it allows us to do is that instead of contracting directly with like Northwell, we contract through BOCES, and then that money is eatable, which means that we get a percentage of it back. How much do we get? 61%.
51%.
So it's a big benefit for moving to the LOI. There are a number of things that we pay for out of the LOI. Our software for IP management, a lot of our softwares that we use for assistive technology at this point, various things we've really shifted in the last few years over to the BOCES LOI simply because we get money back. So it definitely makes a difference. And it's money that we would expend anyway. The only caveat is that BOCES does tack a little user fee on sometimes, but that's about it. They also have been predominantly providing our professional development for our staff. So I also decreased our conferences line and moved things over to this line because they have really heard from a lot of directors of special education, assistant directors of special education about the offerings that they are providing for staff. I can tell you that I think almost every single person in this room has gone to at least one training through BOCES this year. They are doing a fantastic job on providing a lot of really great in-depth professional development on suicide assessment, reading interventions, all sorts of things. It's really, really been impressive. So that shift is also reflected there. So as a result, materials and supplies went down. New York State approved private schools went down. Northwell counseling got eliminated altogether because it all got shifted over to the BOCES LOI, and conferences also went down.
Question. So we're going to talk a little bit about integrated co-teaching at East Plain. Last year, you all tasked us with the ability to open up our integrated co-teaching program at East Plain for grades 3 through 5. There was significant need at that time. We wanted to provide you with some numbers of anticipated. Again, we're still in the process. The annual reviews are just beginning at the elementary level. But these are just kind of preliminary numbers with regard to what we expect for next year in the event that you choose to continue the rollout of integrated co-teaching to East Plain for those grades K1 or 2.
Just so you all know, so Nicole and I literally meet with every single special education teacher in the district in the months of December and January and talk about every single student to get these projections for you. So they're based on what we think in December and January, and don't account for people who could possibly move in, which I will tell you seems to be happening a little bit more than it used to, and nobody seems to be moving out. So I don't know where they're all coming, but they're all here. So we do sometimes see a little bit of a fluctuation as July, August, and even sometimes September rolls in.
So these are just the preliminary numbers in the event you wanted to look at expanding integrated co-teaching and East Plain for kindergarten, first or second grade. This is just an overview of all the special education programs that we offer here in Plain Edge, and it is everything. So we offer the full continuum of services here from resource room through our integrated co-teaching program for elementary through secondary. Our special class programs are offered at multiple ratios, as you can see. At the high school level, we have initiated our vocational counseling, which is done in-house, and we've seen only incredible success stories coming out of that, students who are getting placement for when they do leave us, even this year, and then our out-of-district placement. And then you can see we offer all of the related services that are available through the Part 200 regulations.
We love our department so much. They do a million things. I don't know if you noticed or not, but it's like February is like special education month. Not only do we present to all of you guys, but we're doing PS I Love You Day. We're doing the Best Buddies Fashion Show.
We're doing
transition meetings. We do a lot of things throughout the school year that are not just contained to special education. I think that's one of the things that's really important for everyone to notice is that the staff are really ingrained in every single one of our buildings, and there's a lot of students that are on the general education side that benefit from our programs here. I always like to tell a story about how when we first started unified sports, I had 2 parents that came up to me at the end of a game and they said, you know, we always thought our kid was a really nice kid, but this really shows us that he really is a nice kid. Thank you so much for giving him that opportunity.
And they're coming back now to do student observations because they want to actually be special education.
And they come back and work as aides in the summer a lot of times because they're college students. So that also was fantastic for us. You know, things like Best Buddies, it doesn't just affect the students that are on the special education side. It affects the students that are on the general education side. And we say very often that it's hard to describe unless you live it. And people come here all the time to visit our programs to see what we're doing. And one of the things they always say to us is, oh my God, like you're really, like a kid could be having a behavior in a corner and nobody is freaking out about it. And, you know, a kid could have needed more wait time and, you know, nobody's batting an eye about it. You know, seeing that in action is unbelievable. And I do think it has a lot to do with the fact that special education is ingrained in every single one of our buildings from the get-go, right? So students that are on the autism spectrum or developmentally delayed, you know, they're not something that other students haven't seen the entire time they've been in school. They've seen them all along. And if anything, they've been encouraged to learn and understand and become friends. And that is huge for so many reasons, not just our special education students, but also their families and for our kids. It makes them better people. So that leads also into our mental health piece. I think what we continued with Northwell, it is something that is still being highly utilized. I just spoke to the person from Northwell the other day. We are still the district that uses this service the most.
So we're getting our money's worth, just keep that in mind.
So that's good. Nicole already mentioned the professional development, the parent sessions, technology. As she said before, we transitioned from contract agency to in-house staff for our vocational counseling component. It took us 1.5 years to make that shift. It is the best shift you could have ever imagined. Having our own staff has made a huge difference. There's no more staff turnover. They're much more invested. It's just amazing. I mean, literally people, like one of my secretaries in my office was like, oh my gosh, like students are talking so much more. And do you think it's because of them? And I was like, yes, I do think it's because of them. So we're noticing a big difference there. We also continue to pay for students to go to Barry Tech, Career Prep, GC Tech, all those other things. Iris Wilson, BOCES has definitely expanded their career education opportunities. We think it's something that's very important. Not everybody is college bound, and we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to do that. In addition, sometimes students that struggle really need an incentive to come to school and finish strong. And when for half the day they can actually go do something that they're interested in and see like a value in, we see that they are much more interested in them being here for the half a day to work on that academic piece of their day. And then cross contracts. Like I said, people still come to see us. We get applications for placement on a regular basis. Unfortunately, our population has increased, so the number of seats that are available has decreased dramatically. But we still continue to take a look at students when we do have seats available to see if it's something that we can provide them with.
This is one of our favorite charts. This is from December 1st, just so you know when these numbers were run. This takes a look at our distribution of our special education students across the district. I think the most important takeaway from all the data here is that, again, we continue to see an increase in our special education students in district, and a lot of that is because students are moving in. So we are seeing from year to year an increase. Now from last year, we had 446 in-house in district students. Now we have 471. We jumped about almost 20 students from last year to this year, from December 1st to December 1st. And I think another really big takeaway is that we had an incredibly large kindergarten cohort that came in last year. As you can see, we have 45 students, or this current year, we have 45 students sitting in our kindergarten class, and that's going to be a bubble. So in kindergarten, usually small, we usually expand. So that's just something that we know as a trend as we're kind of going through the years, anticipating where our needs may be down the line. Our 5th grade cohort is also incredibly large. And as you can see, our smaller cohorts are up at the high school level, and they're going to be aging out. So these are just things that we are noticing for our trends.
And then that's also the out-of-district placement.
And that also has our out-of-district placements, just to note that as well. Yes, you can still see we are keeping almost all of our students in district. We have like a percentage of students that are out of district, and even from 24 to 25 to this current school year, we have decreased those numbers as well. So we are keeping our students here as much as we possibly can. Like I just said, we had our CPSE to CSE transition meeting not too long ago. I think that was just last week with Dr. Catone, our CPSE chairperson. Just so you know, for the year coming up, we are anticipating transitioning 43 current classified students to see from CPSE to CSE in kindergarten. And again, that was as of pretty much December 1st. So we still have students that may kind of come down the pipeline for evaluations at this point in the school year. So that number may shift and change. Again, to note, last year we did, or that now our current kindergartners was incredibly large cohort. We had 54 students there. So it is a little bit of a decrease that we anticipate coming in. But with that, I do want to note that out of our students that are coming in, we do have a large number of our special class 913 students coming in. Those are our students that require our programming at John H. West, which is a little bit more supportive. And then our special class program over at Schwarting is anticipating 5 students. And then you can see our other breakdowns.
As we've kind of mentioned a number of times already, we have everything here, and that is part of why we are able to keep students in district, because we have so many different options. This year, we will need to increase our 12-1-2 classes. We currently have 4 of them at Schwarting. We will need to move to 5. We are currently over-enrolled, which means we started the year at under 12 students in each of those classes. We now have 51 students in those classes, so we have to get state approval in order for that to happen. It's just there are some students that are in for maybe like a part of the day or, a small piece of the day. We also increased teaching assistant support in order to accommodate for those students, but we will need an additional 12-1-2 at Schwarting next year to accommodate all the children. We are not allowed to start the year over-enrolled, and obviously it's not what is best for students. In addition, our integrated co-teaching at the high school, we currently have 2 sections of integrated co-teaching in the 6th grade, the 7th grade, and the 8th grade. Sorry, middle school, I apologize. We will need 3 sections of integrated co-teaching at the middle school next year, which is also an increase in staffing. And then again, there's the decision to be made about what will happen at East Plain as far as integrated co-teaching as well. That's just a recap of everything. The special education class at Schwarting will also require 2 additional teaching assistants. It is a 12-1-2 classroom, meaning 1 special education teacher, 2 teaching assistants.
And then here, Bridget already touched a little bit on the cross-contract revenue. Those are when the students who are not Plain Ed students come into our district because our programs are so amazing. This year, we are anticipating 3 of our students will age out. So you will see there is a decrease with what we're anticipating our total revenue to be. With that, our ESY tuition is kind of staying the same simply because we have students that just come for us for the 6 weeks of the full-day program. But it is notable, a lot of the reasons why we're not bringing in more students is just because we have Plain Ed students that require those placements, and they take precedent over those students.
And when we take a student, we usually like to make sure that they would be
They're
able
ours.
to stay and be ours, because that is so important. So we really make that decision, with careful consideration about space. The end.
I think that was the fastest we've ever been. I want you guys to know that.
I actually have a few questions.
Go for it.
With the ESY, the playground at the middle school, obviously, I think predominantly we put there for pre-K. I don't think it was there this past summer, but for this summer, is that going to help with logistics for students who are getting bused to other elementary schools?
What size is the playground?
It's appropriate for.
It's for preschool, like your kindergarten group.
Yeah.
So our ESY program is K to 22 years old.
Well, for the older ones, I guess.
They're not really going to the
I mean,
playground.
they don't go to, the high school classes don't go to the playground frequently, because
Right.
they're usually out on vocational counseling trips.
Okay.
But the middle school groups did kind of sometimes go out to the playground, and definitely our elementary groups.
Right.
I think if it's appropriate for their age group, that would be wonderful. Yes, we were putting kids on buses and taking them to the playground so they could have some place to run and play.
Okay.
We do try and do every year, every week, we do some sort of field trip, and a lot of times it's an in-house field trip. So we've done things like set up a sprinkler in the courtyard. We've had therapy dogs come in. We've done a number of things like that too. It's just, we like to make sure that the kids are moving and doing something instead of just being in the classroom.
Yeah, no.
But sometimes it's also really hot, so there's
Yeah.
also that piece.
Yeah, I can understand
Yeah.
that. Okay. So BOCES, just having experience with it, I guess the question and I don't know if this is really a question for you or more you and CNI, and if you don't have an answer, that's fine too. because
I'll try.
This is kind of coming out of left field. But what I learned is that Plain Ed doesn't give credits, let's say, for English and math, if you're attending BOCES through the trades.
We do.
You do?
Yep. 100%.
Okay.
You
That
can
I was
only usually get a credit for English or math, though, so you
Math.
can't.
one or the other.
Science?
Math or science. Mrs. Ioko's here.
Yeah.
She
So
actually-
I know you can't, so it has something to do with like the credit hours, so
Okay.
you can't get like all three because I don't think they're there enough and doing whatever the related. Right. So each program, yes, and each program is different. So some might be more math heavy and then have that. But we do that 100%. I think, I can tell you that in the last 2 months, myself, Nicole, Mr. Wasserman, all of high school administration, we have been in rooms talking about our juniors and our high school seniors and what we're doing to make sure that they are graduating with, sometimes that means getting a little creative and making sure we're pulling credits from the right places, making sure that we are looking at every possible CTE hour, looking at the multiple pathways for graduation, seeing where a student maybe is deficient in a region where we can supplement that.
Meeting with families.
Meeting with families to talk about that. But we do that very, very frequently because we want to keep kids, moving in the right path. So I think I actually think we do a really great job of pulling as much as we possibly can from anywhere.
Okay. I just so you know, where I got that information was actually BOCES.
Oh.
So I think maybe they were just misinformed at the open house or something. But
Maybe.
Every program is different, but they
maybe they
definitely,
just got confused, but they're like, I don't think Plainage really gives credit for that, and I was just curious why.
we give credit where we can give credit. And we make sure we count all those hours for the kids that need it for the CTE and the CDOS.
Sounds good. With respect to mental health,
Yes.
Obviously I think we've seen more issues, with mental health, possibly in coordination with the proliferation of usage of smartphones. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is, and we've had discussions about maybe how we could change the culture in Plainage, possibly to convince parents to maybe delay giving their kids, almost like a social movement to delay giving their kids cell phones.
Wait till 8, I think is it?
Yeah, that's one of them, which is really 9th grade, not until 9th grade. I know that's going to be a heavy lift. Obviously, with the current cohort, it's hard to make that change happen with kids who are in 5th grade going into 6th now. But maybe with the kindergartners, we could think about that. But with respect to mental health and what we're seeing, how do we address that? Because I know there's, I think Northwell is doing a good job, but part of it also is helping, whether it's in the school system, helping to build that mental fortitude, I guess, to deal with, difficult situations that always come up if you're a teenager or something.
Yes, 100%. And I think Character Strong has been a nice component for some of our kids as far as teaching, the 5-finger breathing and, all those different types of things. We have a model from Northwell that does not exist anymore. We are super grandfathered in because of how quickly we started with them and because of our utilization, where we have a psychiatrist that comes in once a week. Dr. Rebecca Lefkowitz is the person that reaches out to families, does all the paperwork and the setup and all the things. I can tell you that I would say a good portion of the evaluations that we're doing are looking for an ADHD diagnosis, possibly a student that maybe was diagnosed with something younger and the parent is looking to see if it's still an accurate diagnosis. Puberty.
Yep.
And mental health is a thing. I have an 11-year-old. It's fantastic. So puberty is one thing, then add any kind of mental health disorder. And, I tell people all the time, unfortunately, even though your child has a disability, they still have to go through that too. And that can make medication management difficult. It can make getting a child to engage in counseling very difficult. We spend a lot of time trying to connect families with resources. SPOA is a fantastic resource. Rebecca spends a lot of her time working with families to say, what's your health insurance? I can get you in touch with somebody who can hopefully get you into a provider sooner than if you were just picking up the phone and trying to call yourself. But I think, we have a very robust amount of school psychologists. We have a great number of social workers. We have amazing guidance counselors. They are, out and working with our kids all the time. would it be nice if social media and all that other stuff didn't exist? 100%. I know it does. But I think also, teaching our parents about some of those dangers is probably important as well. It's hard to hear as a parent that your child might be doing something on the internet that you don't want them to be doing. But it definitely is happening. And I think it's a big component, even the bullying aspect of it, right? But then there's also just the part of like, I don't know about you, but like when I was in high school, if I called one of my friends and I asked her to go out and she said no, she was busy, and then she went out with all her friends, I wouldn't probably have known until maybe I rolled into school. Whereas now you can then pull up Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat nobody uses Facebook, I'm sorry. You can pull up one of these things and see that this person, they're all out without you.
Right.
That immediacy and that rejection, is very different.
And it happens younger and younger in the middle school, even happened with my daughter.
Yes.
So yeah, it's hard.
And I think just maybe making parents sensitive and aware of that is a big piece, right? Like just knowing that is happening is a big thing. Like a lot of kids think, oh, not my kid, that's not happening. It is. It's happening to everyone. And we hear about it. I mean, I will say, I think because we have the mental health suite upstairs, we have the guidance suite downstairs, we now have the social worker downstairs at the high school. There's a lot of different places that kids can go for support in this building, which I think is huge. In the middle school, the kids are in and out of that guidance suite all day long. If you go there at lunchtime, there's a bunch of kids that are choosing to not maybe go to the cafeteria and choosing instead to go to the guidance suite because they feel better there. So I think we do a nice job of making it welcoming. I think it's just a matter of also sometimes pushing kids to realize that resource is there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think, as long as we're definitely keeping our eye on that, trying to fine tune it to help them more, that's great. I think one of the hard things, just personally as a parent, realizing is trying to teach your kids not to care so much about certain things because, you're a sophomore, junior, senior, before you know it, you're out of this building and a lot of those friendships, they change or they drop off. And so it's not going to matter as much. So stop worrying about what everyone else thinks. And so I think, hearing from your dad just doesn't resonate. But if someone else is reminding them, hey, there's a whole world out there, that's something that maybe could give them something to think about and care a little bit less.
So, if you walked around the hallways just now for PS I Love You Day, one of the things they did in advisory was they filled out all these Purple Hearts and then also these sheets, and it's filled with encouragement, kindness, things like you're not alone, it's okay to have a bad day, and there are like hundreds of them. And so, I do think that sometimes it's important for kids to see that from other kids, right? It's not staff that made those signs, it's kids that made those signs, and they know it because they all had to do it in advisory, right? So, I think having those visual supports sometimes are important. They want to hear from their friends more than they want to hear from us, 100%. Luckily, our school sites are really cool.
And young.
One last thing. So I'm talking about East Plain ICT. I think, obviously the board decided to roll it out for grades 3 through 5. And, when I was looking at this during agenda prep, I thought that, it still looked appropriate. And I recall the reasons why we did it, which was the concern that, let's say, you have a child in 2nd grade, and they get classified for some reason, having them ripped out of East Plain, let's say, as their school, and having to go to either West or Schwarting could be somewhat traumatic, especially at the older age group. So, obviously we're always reassessing this model. For me, when I was looking at this, you see some numbers for kindergarten and 1st grade, but I just couldn't get I couldn't see really expanding it K-2. But I do feel like, we have the program in place for 3 to 5, so we would keep it that way. The other thing I take comfort in is that we have full day ICT in 2 elementary schools, and we only have 3. And I think you'd be pretty hard pressed. I could be wrong, but if you would go across the island or anywhere else, I don't know if you would see a district with 3 elementary schools having full day ICT in all 3 elementary schools. To have it in, let's say, 2.5, I think is pretty remarkable. So I know there was some discussion about this. For me, again, I'm supportive of the 3 through 5, and I don't think we should be expanding the K-2. I know that's probably not something that everyone wants to hear, or some parents want to hear, but also I take heart in the fact that I've been through this myself, and I know the wonderful job that the special education department does to service our students and make sure that they're getting what they need. And so obviously it's just anecdotal evidence, but I think you guys do a wonderful job. And so even if a child is, I'll call it zoned for East Plain and have to go to West or Schwarting, I think they're still going to have a great experience.
I mean, I can tell you that they have a great experience, 100%. Our teams there they're veterans at this point. I mean, they're old married couples. Some of them have been working, gen ed teacher, special ed teacher for quite some time. Yes, I think last year, a lot of the discussion was about especially with that one particular grade, there was a very large number of students, and it does then impact the numbers in Schwarting and West. Because keep in mind, we might have 8 kids from West that are slated for integrated co-teaching, and if we're moving 2 kids in, now we're at 10 kids for integrated co-teaching in that particular grade level. So having it in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade definitely was helpful for us, because as you saw, those grades have some pretty large cohorts.
Right.
The only thing is that obviously we don't have it K1, 2. When a student needs it, then they would leave, and I'm not so sure they would then come back for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade for integrated co-teaching. But it is what we have always done. That is what we've done. And East Plain is just tiny, so their class sections are smaller, the number of classes they have are smaller, they're just smaller.
We also run into a chance where you don't have enough kids in the ICT to make it a good experience. You could drop below. I mean, you're better to tell me than I sell houses. I don't know this stuff. But if you start getting to 1s and 2s, it's just not going to work as well. Is that a fair?
You can see 2nd grade, it's 0.
Well,
so, I mean, that is nothing.
There's always going to be remedial students in any general education classroom. So even right now, our current 4th grade has only 3 classified students at the moment. But there are students in there that really benefit from that support. So in that case, yes, they're kind of getting that huge language-infused classroom. They're kind of almost keeping them out of the pipeline because they're able to almost get those needs addressed even at an earlier age. So I could see yes and no that way. But
I would say, it's one of the things we tell people all the time, integrated co-teaching. There's a general education teacher, there's a special education teacher. The gen ed teacher might be the person pulling the special ed students, and the special ed teacher might be the person pulling the gen ed students sometimes, right? And then, yes, a lot of the times the special ed teacher is the person that's doing some of the specialized instruction, that reteaching, that pre-teaching, specific reading interventions, and things like that. But if they're doing a station teaching, maybe that means that the group of students that is needier, maybe they hit the special ed teacher in their rotation, and then they work independently, and then they go to the gen ed teacher, whereas maybe some of the other students only go to one teacher for those rotations. And again, sometimes it is also, it's usually those groupings are made by how a student is performing at that time. So if there's a student there that's gen ed that's struggling with a math concept, they're going to get picked up and put in that group. So yeah, it definitely, it's 2 teachers in a classroom. I mean,
Right.
It's never going to hurt you. It's definitely not going to hurt
State
you.
wants to send us a boatload more money. I'm sure we could.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
work. But none of these numbers are surprising. I'm sure
No.
if you pulled up last year's presentation, you would see the 3,
Yes.
the 0. And, we discussed this last year about how we were really phasing this in sort of a backwards way.
Mhm.
Traditionally, you'd phase it in K,
Right.
grade. The numbers didn't bear that out in this instance. But I'm just trying to wrap my head around why we wouldn't continue with the plan we had put in place last year, knowing that the numbers are still the same that they were last year, knowing that looking at CPSE, looking at that transition at 35, that we're seeing an increased number of kids who can benefit from this, be they on the beauty of the model, be they on the special education side, or the general education side, I don't know why we wouldn't continue. And we're gonna agree to disagree on any number of things. I understand rationally the points that everyone's making on this. This is something, being married to a special educator, that is near and dear to my heart. And
I think, so like, this is what we're looking at for coming into kindergarten next year, right? So we have 7 students we think are going to end up in integrated co-teaching for kindergarten. 3 of those are East Plain kids, meaning that it's 2 and 2 at West and Schwarting right now. Now, again, when you look at the chart, you see that it moves, right? So the number of kids that are classified in kindergarten, we pick up as we move through first and second and third grade. So, we're not going down. We're always going up. And without a doubt, we have a number of students that walk into kindergarten and have never been to school before. And some of those students have some pretty significant needs. And because they were never in a pre-K, it was never identified, and they've not gotten early intervention or CPSE or anything, and then we're, working to identify them and figure out what we're doing and get them placed accurately. That could mean sometimes that we're then having to maybe move a kid mid-year if they start in kindergarten at East Plain and ICT is not there, and then we have to move them. Again, we've always done it. It's a hard conversation, I can tell you, with parents. They very frequently, we will recommend integrated co-teaching and tell them that they need to move buildings, and they will decline. And instead choose to keep their child at East Plain with resource room. And I can tell you the effectiveness of resource room for a child that needs integrated co-teaching is not close to the same. The students that are in integrated co-teaching this year in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade,
They're all here.
my teachers are all here.
They're here.
It's a huge difference. And the parents would tell you it's a huge difference too. The students have made much bigger gains than they were last year when they were sitting in resource room. But it is also a cost, and that is reality.
can I ask about the interim?
IES, yeah.
Sort of a couple of questions. I know you said formally they're labeled as home instruction.
They're still actually titled, when we write the CSE, the IEP document, they're home instruction. It's just that we send them a place to get that home instruction. Right.
Who is developing and putting in place monitoring the instructional plan?
We are.
We are.
So I go there frequently.
There's almost like practically monthly updates that you get from the program
Yeah.
itself.
So, and I will say, almost, obviously these are students that are having significant needs. They're usually going in with, 2 BCDs assigned to them, a special ed teacher assigned to them for, there's rules about how much special ed, special instruction you're supposed to get when you're on home instruction. They're working on that, related services, all those other things. And then what they do is they start to pull that away, and then they slowly start to integrate kids, with other kids that are at that program. And then hopefully we're getting them to a place where they can be in a room with 5 kids and they can follow instruction for a larger part of the day. We don't have these behaviors that are very dangerous, and then we go from there. Some students are there for 6 months.
That was my next question. What's the average length?
It's like 6 months to a year. It also does take us a while to sometimes get them in. There's not a lot of these clinics. We happen to be very lucky that there are a couple in this surrounding area, because the bus ride can sometimes be tough for kids that are having those difficulties too.
Thank you.
We're good, thank you.
Everyone's good? All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Are you going to stay for your dinner? Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Sorry, the whole room's clear for you. I'm sorry.
What happened? They don't like music?
That's okay. I'm not looking behind me. I'm looking this way. It's so good.
You know, why is everything?
Don't take it personally,
Good evening. I'm Vito Menino. I'm one of the assistant principals at the middle school. I'm also the supervisor for Fine and Performing Arts with District. And first, I just want to say that music and art provide an excellent opportunity, outlet, and social emotional support for all of our students here at Plain Edge and students in general. So just to go along with some of what we were just discussing, for students to have an opportunity and an outlet such as Fine and Performing Arts does provide so much of a support for them in those areas. And I kind of wear the two hats. So I can speak and relate to a lot of what Bridget and Nicole were saying about supporting students, particularly at the middle school as well. I'll allow my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Christopher Fusero, our coordinator.
I'm Jessica Yadwab. I was going to say the middle school orchestra teacher, which is what I am, but I'm the music coordinator for the district.
And we're going to present our Fine and Performing Arts budget for you tonight. First, just to point out, we are again a Best Community for Music Education. That's our 6th consecutive year. This is an application process that we go through every year, which basically evaluates the music program at all levels from K-12 here at Plain Edge. We're right above par with all of the other districts, we believe, and we're on our 6th consecutive year for receiving that award. In terms of our budget, pretty straightforward numbers. Last year we had a $364,000, almost $65,000 budget. That included the music suite and a lot of equipment and things that went into that. Around November or December, Miss Yadwab and I went over to the music suite to visit all the different rooms to see how it was progressing, that they were kind of living in the space at this point for a couple of months. And it was at that time we found that, we were kind of noticing that there was some piece of equipment and things that had come up from the basement and didn't quite fit in the space that were more like functionality, that we realized that we needed to kind of cross some T's and dot some I's with providing some additional equipment for students just to make it, really just finish it off. We're looking at some of that equipment. I'll get into that in the next slide. But you can see there is a reduction, obviously, from where we were last year in terms of where we are this year of $138,000, because obviously the need moving from that last year to now isn't the same. The numbers don't include our budgeted salaries, which you can see there at the bottom for 25 and 26, and then also for 26, 27. So breakdown of our numbers, as I was just explaining, we're down overall in equipment. We look to furnish the new builds. We do still have some needs, as Mr. Perazzo said before. We were able to do some of that this year with some equipment money from this year, but we were also looking to, like I said, finish with some things that need to go in the spaces just to help organize some more materials, make it more useful and functional for the students. As we move down, our regular materials and supplies, any new supplies, all of that stuff is kind of the same. This also includes art as well. We have music dues, rental membership, periodicals, the travels. When special education was talking about the BOCES piece, some of that is also included on our line because we have Arts and Ed, which is our link to BOCES. That's when you have the assemblies at the elementary schools. We do professional development. We have ASA, the Art Association. So we kind of roll a lot of those pieces into our budget line so that we're making sure that the PTA, when they're looking to do an assembly over at West or Shorting or East Plain, we're kind of working with them to make sure that it gets funded, and then we can also get that reimbursement and get that piece back. We went through that this year and found that there were some areas that needed to be addressed, whether it was from us because we put through NISMA, all state, all county, all of those things go through that budget, which is why from last year to this year, we were up about $10,000 because we saw that there was a need with the assemblies and all those other pieces. We always keep a certain amount of money on the budget line for marching band uniforms and reconditioning. Every year the uniforms go out to be cleaned, to keep those up. And then every year there's something needs to be replaced or fixed or so on. So we kind of work that. So that's the basic breakdown. The other piece that we do have going into next year that does influence our equipment line, I just want to get to that too, with the art department is the high school, the kiln at the high school is pretty much on the fritz. It's kind of beyond repair. It's something that's, we've been kind of putting it together, with duct tape every year, and now finally we've evaluated that it's no longer there. We just had when the repair person was in October.
October, yeah.
Yeah, so we've actually gone ahead, we've spoken to Brett Prischaka, who does our facilities. We're looking to take that piece of equipment out. We actually want to replace it with 2 smaller units that'll still do as much of the capacity, but they're a little easier to manage, a little easier to maintain. They're electric.
Yes.
Yeah, right, they're electric. So we have all that paperwork and all that stuff going through. So those are the 2 big pieces for us. Is in the art department we have the kiln, we want to replace at the high school, and then we're going to finish up those music suites with some equipment.
Yeah. These are the standards for fine and performing arts. They were revamped a few years ago. They're very specific. They're specific by grade level. They're specific across grade span. They're creating, performing, responding, and connecting to. But if you look at them, if you actually went to the website and opened it up, it's a really thorough document that speaks very specifically to what are you doing in your general music classroom to ensure that children are able to consciously create music? How are they speaking about that music? What musical language are they using? What terminology are they using? How are they performing it, etc. So all of these are they are used across all of the grades, but they're specific to each one as well. These are our course offerings in elementary school. General music we offer K through 5. Band is in 4th and 5th grade. Orchestra is in 4th and 5th grade, and we have primary chorus 2nd and 3rd, and senior chorus in 4th and 5th. And those are our middle school offerings, right? We do band, chorus, and orchestra 6, 7, 8, and then we do general music in 6th and 7th grade. In high school, we have concert and marching band. Those are rolled together. We have mixed choir, concert choir, orchestra, music theory, and AP music theory. Music theory and AP music theory alternate by year. Our opportunities beyond the classroom, all of our clubs, our chamber orchestras at the middle school and the high school, the jazz band at the middle school and the high school, jazz choir at the high school. We have a Triam Music Honor Society, both at the middle school and the high school, and that's a nationally recognized music honor society. There are requirements. The kids have to commit to a certain number of community volunteer hours or volunteering to help each other. That's where you get Triam tutors at the high school. And then we have our fantastic dramas and musicals happening across the district. In March, very highly suggest that you come and see the middle school musical and the high school musical. These are our participation numbers. So NISMA is an umbrella organization, but they run a solo festival every year. If you have a child who has played an instrument, there's a high likelihood that they have participated in NISMA. That number changes a little bit every year, but is very high this year. We have a lot of kids participating. That's really exciting for us. As a result, so is our all-county and LISPA participation number. Those are they grow as we have more kids who go to NISPA because they become eligible for these performing groups. And these are our participation numbers across the district. Our opportunities for achievement beyond the classroom is that students can participate in NISMA. They can go to NISMA All-State as well. we have the all-county music festivals, the NISMA major festivals. You can see that NISMA shows up a lot on this one because it's the New York State School of Music Association. They run a lot of different festivals. They run our all states and our all counties. There's the NISBTA, which is the New York State Band Directors Association Honors Ensemble, and that's for kids usually. It's grade 7 through 12, but it's a really advanced group. And then LISFA is the Long Island String Festival Association. And I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Fusaro.
Thank you. All right, elementary art instruction. Students in kindergarten through grade 5 attend art on a weekly basis. Fine art curriculum is based upon the New York State standards, which just told us about earlier, and also the 7 elements of art. Middle school art instruction, 6th and 7th grade fine art. In 8th grade, they have the opportunity to take a half credit towards high school diploma. They can take half in 8th grade, and the other half will take place in 9th grade. High school course offerings, we have studio art, drawing painting, AP, graphics, ceramics, sculpture, architecture, digital photography, fashion, jewelry. All these classes are helpful towards students who are interested in taking college classes and possibly a career in the arts. Opportunities beyond the classroom. Art clubs have been giving back and interacting with the community in many ways. Just last year, we had the Special Olympics here, so we had students coming down from the art clubs to help out with tie-dye shirts and temporary tattoos and face painting. This year, we had students from the high school art club go down to the local businesses and paint the windows, the local library and post office, and they really enjoyed that. Owners of these businesses enjoyed having the kids out there. It was a really nice time and nice, well-documented event. Achievements beyond the classroom. The Art Supervisors Association, we have 24 students showcased this year in the March show. The Art Club, the middle school and high school have over 100 students participating weekly. The ASA scholarship winners, this year we have 2. 3 district-wide seasonal art shows. We just had one last Thursday, the Winter Art Show. It was very well attended. There's really nice pieces in there at the Brian Moore Athletic Center. And the district calendar, we always showcase 12 students' artwork each year in the calendar. Fine Art Virtual Community. My colleagues and I have different social media accounts where we have about 7,000 followers. In these accounts, we are able to showcase what we do in the classroom on a daily basis, and we could kind of bring the community into our classroom to show the kids working, their projects, things that we're creating, things like that. And district participation in the fine arts. We have 155 students in pre-K, 1,353 in elementary, 559 in middle school, 489 in high school, which brings us to a total of 2,556 young artists in Plainridge. And with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Menino, who's going to continue with the points of pride.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through each line, but I will say this. If you look at the points of pride, and like Ms. Yedwa, Mr. Fusaro was saying, you know, the Art Association League, NISMA, all those things. The most important thing is that we're providing opportunities for students. And we provide opportunities for students at every level, all the way from kindergarten through 12th grade, whether it's in art, whether it's in music, drama, you know, all of our productions. I mean, we have our music festivals coming up. We just had our art show, district art show, and then we have all the professional organizations. So I think out of everything, really, the main point of pride is that we just continue to provide opportunities with your support, the support of the community, the support of our staff, and that we provide a lot of opportunities for kids, again, to do something that's special for them. Any questions?
Yes. So while looking at the equipment for the music wing, does it make sense to look at equipment in any of the other studios, the other music spaces, the middle school, the elementary schools, and sort of wrap it all in as one?
Yeah, so we do evaluate, and we kind of pass through all the different locations. So in all honesty, at the elementary and the middle level, we've kind of kept up with a lot of those needs. And Ms. Yedwab and I, we always look at whether it's, you know, risers or chairs or whatever it might be. So what happened more at the high school is everything was moved out. Right, it's kind of like you built a house and then we had to furnish it in a way. Some of the things came in, but then we were finding that not everything came back, and then it was like, why are there all those folders over there? Why is there this over here? So we were just kind of looking to clean it up a little bit and make it functional for them.
So, yeah. Oh, so kind of working off of what Mr. Morrissey was saying. We had moved the pre-K over to the middle school, I think, to create space in East Plain again, for art and music. You know, if I'm correct, and that was right, how did changing the furniture back, like, are we all settled at East Plain in terms of like having, I think to what he's saying, you know, the rooms back to where they should be?
Yeah,
I think there were flex rooms, right? Like there was a temporary period where it was a flex room.
It was a flex room, but no, they have their space and it's set up. I actually did visits with at the building not too long ago, and you know, there was it was kind of well organized. It was you know, student friendly. It was open. So they had, you know, again, that's something that the teachers share with us, and then we're always constantly in communication with them in terms of, do you guys need anything? And that'll range from, if it's an instrument, you know, I mean, even with Mr. Facera and I, we even go as far, like, are we talking about paints? Are we talking about, you know, construction paper? Or like, you know, it'll get down to the fine detail, and we're constantly talking to the staff and asking them, do you have everything you need? Do you have everything you need, you know? And we're just as proactive with them as they know that they can come to us when they have an idea or they have a thought about something. You know, that's a key too, is that if I can get to you in October, you know, and get to you before it's December, January, you know, we want to get there so we can make it happen for you really quickly.
Okay, yeah, great. I mean, because my main concern is making sure that each of the elementary schools have, I don't want to say exactly the same, but pretty much the same experience, right?
Mhm.
That all the students are getting to enjoy it the same way, right? That one school isn't necessarily better or worse off than the other. So I just want to make sure that we're aligned, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
100%. And not only are we aligned in terms of the physical space, but the teachers and the staff that you have at each one of those buildings, what they do in terms of, you know, providing support in music and art. I mean, we always say the program is as strong as it's ever been with the staff, and they make that experience for the kids. They make that happen for them. So it's they are getting that.
One quick one. First, both programs have been awesome for my family, so thank you. Even if I can't get my son to practice one. That was a war at 5:30 tonight as I was trying to get out the door. The kiln you mentioned.
Yeah.
My guess is that's been a frustrating piece of equipment for a couple of years probably, and by the time something stops working, it's been annoying for a while. I can imagine as a staff member, you come in, you think you're doing a lesson on ceramics, and then the thing's not working again, and after it happens in the middle of class, and you have a bunch of, you know, artwork half made. I would ask that we try to think about, are there any other pieces of equipment that are, and I know it's just an expression and I use it all the time, but held by duct tape. If there's some duct tape on some of those pieces of equipment, maybe we need to start getting to them a little sooner.
Yep. So
and things happen and sometimes things break, but I've seen this elsewhere. Farmingdale used to really have like a farm mentality, a farmer's mentality, and like these trucks were constantly getting repaired. But while they're getting repaired, it's still an old truck and it's out of service. And it just becomes really inefficient. We're already spending good money on the program. Let's make sure it could run optimally. So
I'm going to take it one step further for you. Is that one of the things that I make sure that we do have maintenance contracts on all of our major pieces of equipment. And I make sure every year that we have someone come in and do that maintenance on that piece of equipment. And that's how we knew this year from that diagnostic that the person was like, listen, we've been doing good for long enough, but now it's time for us to think about something else. So to go along with that is if we have a maintenance contract, right? I'm always, if we have a maintenance contract, I'm like, all right, call the company, get them in here. I want someone to come in and evaluate all of our pieces of equipment across the board. So yes, we definitely want to beat it before it's like, wait, now we can't do ceramics for a month, you know? So, and this just happens to be a bit, you know, it's, from what I understand, like the door has to be cut, like we're talking about removing something that's been there I think they may have built some of the school around it at some point, so.
I just want to get in trouble with the right people tomorrow. I'm talking about the Village of Farmingdale.
Yeah. So, anybody else? Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Have a good night.
Moving on to business, do I have a motion to approve items 1 through 17?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Yeah, we have an addendum to item 1, the PAR, and item 2, the co-curricular in the business section.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve items 1 through 17 as amended? Mr. Marcy, second. Mrs. Versace, all in favor? 7 in favor.
7 in favor, motion passes.
Next section is Pride and Planage, opportunity for board members to present on attendance participation at school and or community events. Open it to the floor.
So I attended the second BOCES budget meeting the other day, where they talked about special education programs, and we're looking at special education and CTE, the career technical education, Barry Tech, GC Tech, and Long Island High School for the Arts. They're looking at 3.9% increases for tuition. So that's mostly due to health insurance premiums and a bigger hit in the retirement system costs. And the agency's using $5.4 million of its retirement contribution reserve to offset some of that, so to help lower some of the tuition increases. With that, and special education, they gave us the tuition program percentage changes as well. Level 1 and 2 are going up 4.7%. Level 3 and 4 are going up 4.9%. And level 5 and 6 are going up 4.8 and 4.9%. So pretty hefty increases there. So that's something that we have to consider. They're also opening up Hawthorne Elementary School for special education. So they could expand special education services in the area. Not sure if we're going to be sending anybody there, but that's something of note as well. They answered one of my questions from the first meeting, because there were 9 municipalities that were not Nassau County school districts that participate in their bidding. So they told me that Brentwood, Comac, Copeg, Kings Park, Northport, South Country, and in Westchester, White Plains, and the Ithaca School District, they're part of the bidding program for Nassau BOCES. So they have to pay a little bit of a fee to use the service, but I thought that was interesting, that it expands far beyond our local BOCES here. The total budget for BOCES this year is $605 million, so it's quite a big budget. And on their capital projects, the Board of Education there transferred $18 million from the 2024-2025 agency surplus to fund a whole list of projects. And it was taking me a while to tell you about all the projects, but they're doing a lot of work on the roofs and parking lots and all that stuff. Not really too exciting stuff, but things like theater renovations, HVAC and investments. So they're putting a lot of money into that as well. So what will I tell you about that?
Thank you for the update. Anyone else have anything they want to speak?
Sure. It was a very musical month. Attended the John H. West 4th grade band concert. Was always very impressed. Broadway West the other night. Some very talented budding Broadway stars. Also was able to take it down for senior night for wrestling. I know the coach had asked for some support, so I know Mr. Versace and Mr. Howard, they're also not a great judge of it, but I would think that Devin has to be considered a favorite to repeat as the state champion. That was very impressive.
Very nice. Anyone else have anything to add?
Doug and I had an opportunity to go to the New York Coalition of School Boards legislative breakfast. I woke up that morning thinking, man, it's the weekend, it's kind of early, it's like barely plowed, or I don't even know what day it was. But they had called and said, oh, we just want to make sure you're going to be there. I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, I guess they ordered a lot of food. So we won as a school board their Community Impact Award. So I didn't expect it. I didn't even know it existed. They didn't order too much breakfast, which was fine by me. But I went and I accepted the award and forgot it at home. So I'll bring it in next time.
It's actually the first year they are presenting that award, so.
The big judge will be if they figure someone out to, give it out next year too.
For myself, I attended the West and Schwarting junior concerts. Both were great. Mr. Seglio, he's great. I mean, I see a lot of enthusiasm from him. I've been impressed with him at both performances. I was actually planning to attend East Playing, but that was the day of the major snowstorm. So I think that's rescheduled March 2nd. So I have that marked in my calendar to try to attend that. Caught three periods of a JV basketball game against Mineola. I think they're the top ranked team. Fortunately, we didn't pull off the win, but definitely saw some good basketball, and also caught some middle school wrestling for a little bit. Had to duck out because it was my child's 11th birthday, so trying to manage obligations on that. But the middle school team looked really great. Looks like a good crop of kids, and I think the wrestling program will continue to be a strong program here at Plain Edge. Plenty of numbers, and definitely some real talent, even in 7th and 8th grade. Like, you could see who were going to be good wrestlers potentially if they stick with it. So that was pretty impressive. That's pretty much it. Moving on. Actually, it's informational reports. Oh, new business, old business, sorry. Superintendent search update. So quick update on that. District-wise, completed their process of reviewing resumes and reviewing interview tapes. Probably not tapes, I mean, at this point. It's something else, but
8 tracks.
And narrowed it down to 8 individuals to possibly be the next superintendent for Plain Edge. Right now, they're in the process of putting together what they call binders, which is about 60 to 150 pages per candidate to sit with the board at the start of March to go through it. And then from that meeting, the plan is to figure out who we're going to bring back for a first round of interviews. So that's it in terms of superintendent search update. 2 items that are not on here that I also want to address is the bus and late bus committee. So the bus committee, I just sent Peter today a draft of the presentation I put together for the first meeting. I'm looking to hopefully have it at the end of February. Obviously, have to check schedules with a variety of people inside and outside Plain Edge, but looking to launch that and hopefully have that in place so that for the 27-28 school year, maybe we'll have revised regular bus routes. Again, for the regular bus routes, we're looking at areas south of Jerusalem for the high school. We're looking at this kind of no man's land, I would say, from north of the Southern State Parkway, and even up to the 135 for high school students that have to cross, some really treacherous, I think treacherous ramps to the highways. And then West has this one little area that I thought would be Island Trees that's like right behind Gitlin Denture Street. It's like 4 or 5 houses, but those students are walkers. And so I'm looking to see if it makes sense to provide busing to those students as well. It's really weird how they cut up school districts all around. That really threw me for a loop, but there's about, I think, 4 or 5 houses there. So, it's a dangerous intersection on Siemens Neck and Hicksville Road. So I want to make sure, first priority is that our children are able to go back and forth from home to school safely. And, when you have 2 parents, most parents, both parents work, it's good to alleviate that concern, especially the high school students who are probably walking in the dark, especially during winter time. Late bus, obviously, that's a bigger project, I think. And so that'll also be covered as part of this committee. And so the next thing I'll talk about is capital improvement committee. And We got over 30 applicants. And, you know, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Morrissey, who's going to chair that committee and speak a little bit to it.
Sure. Quick update on that that committee as well. And thank you, Mr. February. As with the transportation related committees, we're working to identify the other two board members that would like to serve on the capital improvement committee, and then identify the members of the community to also, you know, as a serve on the committee. It is a sort of a pivotal time right now as we are anticipating the 5-year architectural plan to be presented to us by our district architect. So it's a nice transition point to get this committee up and running with that information in hand as we, in theory, add an additional capital reserve, and as we look at the next 5, 10, 15 years of capital planning and strategic planning here in Plain Edge. You know, a number of our buildings are aging. They were built at in the 50s and 60s, and as we've heard in the finance presentation, there are pieces of equipment that might fall under capital that need to be looked at. And that's something that our district architect will prepare and present to us, and this committee will have input into helping us identify our capital propositions.
Thank you. Anyone have anything else? Any questions? No? Okay, moving on to informational reports. Does anyone have any questions on informational reports? Nope. Okay, moving on to public comment. We ask that all comments please be directed to the board president, and that you try to keep it to 2 minutes. And we ask that you please use the microphone and clearly state that.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. I'm just curious, congratulations on your award. I'm kind of curious, how many districts are involved in the coalition in New York State? I noticed there was a New York State award.
20-something probably.
Somewhere along those lines.
Yeah.
Out of 200, over 200 school districts.
It's a fledgling organization. They're just starting.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It's a new organization.
It's a new organization.
Well, it's not really new because I was involved in it when I was on the school board before COVID. So it's not really new, but it's the first year they had the award. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that there are many awards that are given out, and that one, well, it may be, I would like to know what the award was given for.
I posted on Facebook, Mr. Baby, if you'd like, I can read it.
Yeah,
I'm not
go
sure
ahead,
what this
if
is.
you have it.
In recognition of a Board of Education whose actions and decisions had a meaningful, positive impact on students, families, and the community it serves.
Can you explain the meaningful?
I have no idea. I don't know. I showed up and they handed me a plaque.
Okay,
I took it.
so
You should ask them, yeah.
aren't you guys involved?
I showed up at the meeting.
You show up at the meetings, but you don't know what it's for. Okay.
I think, you know, you're invited to something. We showed up. There were legislators there, Mr. Durso, Senator Steve Rhodes. There were others.
Jack Martins. And
Martins.
Mr. Blumenthal.
Right. So, I mean, they were there. The purpose of the meeting, as far as I know, I couldn't attend, was to express concerns that boards have on Long Island to people who are decision makers and power players in Albany about pressures that we have from a Board of Ed perspective and what school districts are experiencing. So, as you know, as a former board member, the electric bus mandate and, you know, dealing with things like that, such as unfunded mandates, that was really the purpose of it. No one was going there knowing that we were going to get an award. They decided
I was getting a bagel.
They decided to present an award, and we accepted. I mean, what else would you do?
Well, I think we have educators in the room who, I would prefer board members who care about the children in our community.
Me too.
Not exactly the rest of the state. I think what's most important is we have people who care about the kids in Plain Edge
Right.
and aren't looking to do what's important for people in Albany. But what I do know is our
Not
teacher
Albany,
here,
we're advocating in Albany.
but, right, I advocate here in Plainage. So
You have
I
to
also,
advocate Albany to have the funding to come to Plainedge, right?
right, our teachers do that very well.
Okay, so there's nothing
So-
wrong with the Board of Ed also doing that.
No, I'm sure, but I just want to make it known that the coalition isn't exactly as important as NISBA or anybody else who is advocating for children locally.
Appreciate your
So,
opinion.
thank you.
Appreciate your opinion. Have a good night.
Mr. Bailey, did I just add, there were really three main topics that got discussed in this legislative breakfast. Senator Martins let us know that his expectation is that the governor will roll back the electric bus mandate. One of the big discussions was, you're talking millions and millions of dollars that are being removed from education for busing, right? And there is a limited number of dollars. You want that to go to more staff, all the things we heard about today, not necessarily just paying more for your busing. Another one was the question I asked Mr. Perazzo about these delayed payments from outbills. And then there was also a lot of talk about the pre-K funding and the foundational funding. So quite frankly, it tracks very similarly with the Nassau Suffolk School Board Association and Bob Vecchio, what he's been advocating for. And I do, frankly, for me, we're not members as a school board of this organization. That's not how it works now. But for me, going to these sort of legislative functions is, I look at it as a very important part of our role and my role. And I was proud to be there and happy to be there. Did the award mean a lot? No, I forgot it at home. Was the information, was what we did important? Anytime you get a chance to have a couple legislators sitting in front of you for a couple hours and you get to tell them what's important to you, that's always going to be worthwhile.
We had those legislators here in Plainedge. They were welcome and they were allowed to come to Plainedge on any given moment. So we didn't need to go to a coalition to speak to them. Just want you to know. And I want everybody to know that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, motion to adjourn? Mr. Morrissey, second?
Second.
Mr. Pascarello, all in favor?
Motion passes, adjourned.
Yep, so, thank you.
9:25.